It's exciting to be here in our new sanctuary as we begin a new year. Already, I feel how this space will uplift our prayers. The light colors, the comfortable seating, which I highly recommend if you want to move forward. Also, the welcoming bima. Personally, I can't take any credit at all for all of the tremendous effort that it took to get us here. That was done really by amazing lay leaders on so many committees, by Rabbi Steiner, and of course by the project management and construction team. So maybe it's because I didn't bear any responsibility for this project that I may be the only person at Barnert Temple who is actually glad that it's not done. For one, it gives us something to look forward to. The new lobby with its wall of windows, the library, which will be our living archive, and for our Ner Tamid, the true Ner Tamid, which will take its rightful place above beautifully designed arc doors. I'm also glad that we are here today, beginning a new year, highly aware of the parts that are unfinished. Because each of us, like this building, is a work in progress. When children get older, we say that they are growing up. But when adults get older, we say that we are aging. When did we stop growing up? We are still growing and changing, still making mistakes, learning from them, and trying to do better the next time. After all, we may have graduated from high school, college, and even gotten master's degrees. But come next year, we're all due back here again, because no one ever graduates from Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Dr. Dan Gilbert, a psychologist from Harvard University, once said, "Human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think they're finished. The person you are right now is as transient, as fleeting, and as temporary as all the people you've ever been. The one constant in our life is change." Dr. Gilbert's comment is based upon a study he conducted with other researchers, which asked adults ages 18 to 68 to report how much they had changed over the past decade in personality, values, and preferences. And then the study asked them to predict how much they think they would change in the decade to come. Consistently, participants of all ages reported significant changes in the past, but predicted very few changes in the future. In other words, we are able to appreciate the ways we have evolved to become the people we are today, but we systematically underestimate how different we might be tomorrow. I found this psychological theory intriguing because I saw a connection to teshuvah, the process of repentance. If we tend to underestimate the degree to which we will change in personality, values, and preferences, maybe we also underestimate the degree to which we can change in character and deeds. True teshuvah is hard, but it starts with the premise that people can change and that we can be intentional about those changes. It may seem obvious to say that each of us is a work in progress, but it's much harder to internalize. How often do we hold ourselves to standards of perfection only to feel like we've failed? We think, "I can't believe I messed that up," or "I should be able to handle this by now." Or we give up on ourselves and others, repeating harmful patterns and resigning our relationships to stasis or decline. But each of us and each of our relationships is a work in progress. When I use that phrase, I don't mean to objectify a person. as if we are early drafts of a memo or a painting without its finishing touches. I prefer to think of the word work in its Hebrew translation, avodah. In Hebrew, avodah can mean work in the sense of labor, but it is also the word for sacred service, like teshuvah and tefillah, repentance and prayer. This is the kind of spiritual work we are called to do every high holidays. Teshuvah is a never-ending process, writes Jewish educator Erica Brown, because we are always changing and the context of our universe is always shifting. This does not mean that there is no stable or true self. We know when we are being true to ourselves. We need multiple opportunities for teshuvah because our mistakes and errors change over time, and our circumstances are fluid. The self is not static and unchanging, even if our essential personalities may be well established. Events change us. Relationships change us. Decisions change us. Life changes us. Therefore, there can never be an end to the process of teshuvah. Being a work in progress is not a failure, therefore. It is a natural consequence of being alive. And if we embrace the state of being, both beautiful and unfinished, we can unlock the spiritual potential of these high holidays. When we embrace being a work in progress, we give ourselves some grace. We can more easily admit our mistakes and learn from them where to focus our repentance and repair. When we embrace being a work in progress, we are more open to learning, even changing our minds, and we cling less to false certainties. When we embrace being a work in progress, we remember that others are too, and we are more able to forgive. When we embrace being a work in progress, we welcome challenges as an opportunity to grow. At my home, we have a children's book called You Are New by Lucy Knisley. It is a sweet story about babies and how they develop. On one page, it shows a baby climbing a stair, falling back, and climbing again. Every day you stretch and grow. You learn something, then you know. On another page, it shows a baby all grown up and standing on his own. But wait, the book says, you will be new again, as it shows a child now in a body of water learning how to swim. I used to think that being new was the provenance of the young. Now I understand that life thrusts us into newness over and over again. We become parents. We lose a job, or we start a new one. Our physical abilities change. We move to a new home. Someone we love dies. We join a new synagogue. For better and worse, life makes us new again. As adults, this newness can bring up nervousness and self-doubt. How will I fare in this next chapter? Here, we ought to take a cue from young children who are immensely proud of their baby steps and feel no shame when they fall. When God called to Moses from the burning bush and told him to go back to Egypt so that he could lead the Israelites to freedom, Moses initially doubts himself. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and free the Israelites from Egypt? After all, Moses ran away from Egypt after killing an Egyptian taskmaster. And he has a speech impediment, which makes him self-conscious of public speaking. Moses wasn't just worried about persuading Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. He was even worried about convincing the Israelites themselves to trust him as their leader. When I come to the Israelites and say to them, "The God of your father's house has sent me to you," and they ask me, 'What is God's name?' What shall I say to them?" Moses asks God. In response, God tells Moses, "Ehyeh asher ehyeh," which translates to, "I will be what I will be," or "I am becoming what I am becoming." At first, this might seem a little unsettling. How can we rely on God if God is always in a state of change? But it is ultimately reassuring. God is promising to be with Moses and the Israelites at every stage along the journey. As you face an uncertain future, I will be with you. When you falter, I will be with you. When you aspire, I will be there, lifting you higher. Because life is a work in progress, God is too. And in the end, supported by God's faith in him, Moses rises to the challenge. We learn from God's name, Ehyeh asher ehyeh, that the process of becoming is holy. Avodah is the spiritual work of becoming who God knows we can be. But it doesn't just happen automatically. Over the next 10 days, we have to ask ourselves, how do I need to grow this year to respond to the challenges life presents me and to be the best person that I can be? Now is the time to reflect and commit. The work will be ongoing. Contemporary conservative Rabbi Alan Lucas writes, "Perfection is not a prerequisite of joining a holy community. We are all imperfect, and the synagogue, therefore, is at best a collection of people who are works in progress. What unites the faithful is not what they have accomplished, but what they are striving to accomplish. What unites us in faith is not what we have accomplished, though we can rightfully be proud of all of that. It is what we are striving to accomplish within ourselves and our relationships, in this community and in the broader world. What we are striving to accomplish together. Even when the renovation of our temple building is complete, the work of being a holy community will never be finished. This sanctuary will need the prayers of your hearts. This bima will need our children to accept the responsibilities of Jewish adulthood. The social hall will need our social justice programs, and the library will need learners of all ages to find new insights in ancient texts. When we greet each other on Rosh Hashanah, we wish one another a Shana Tova, a good year. However, the word Shana shares the same root as the word lishanot, which means to change. So inherent in wishing someone a good year is the hope for a good change. As we stand here today at the cusp of 5785, each of us, like this building, is imperfect and unfinished. We are also exactly where we need to be. Shana Tova, may this be a year of holy work for a good change.